Representative, good to see you in person here.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
Fear sells. Both parties know this, and Republicans are really campaigning right now before the primary on anti-Islamic messaging. What's going on here?
I think they're trying to sell the red meat to their constituents. I feel like we have a very loud minority in the state of Texas that are further conservative MAGA Republicans that like this. And so that's what they're trying to get more eyeballs. They're trying to get more votes from the Republican Party in the primaries to vote in their, to win in their primary election.
Let me start with this here. Republicans talk about wanting to stop Sharia law, which is Islamic religious law. Is that being practiced anywhere in Texas, to your knowledge, Representative?
So Sharia law, I mean, I can say that as a Muslim, right? Sharia law is a personal religious guidance framework, right, which every religion has. Right? Catholics have that, Jewish community have that, and so does Muslims. And what it says is, how do you govern your religious and personal beliefs? It is not the tribunals, it is not taking over US Constitution or the Texas Constitution, which is often touted as, oh, Sharia law is going to come in and replace our court system. That's absolutely false and completely wrong. And I think there's a lot of lack of knowledge. And so whatever we don't understand, we fear. And that is what the elected officials are using that as bait to say, oh, we're going to ban Sharia law. A lot of elected officials have filed that from the US Congress to the state assembly. And it's really concerning to me as a Muslim Texan, who I feel really strongly that it's not contrary to say I'm a proud Muslim and I'm a proud Texan.
For clarity though, is there any Sharia law tribunals, as Republicans have said, to your knowledge?
Absolutely not.
Well, why do you think we're hearing so much about this?
I think it's important for them to tout this because that's what the voters want to hear. Like everybody's on this bandwagon to get more further right and to target a minority that, it's sort of scapegoating, right? Like, okay, like immigrants are different. And it's coming down from the federal administration as well, right? The current administration is saying harmful and hateful rhetoric for immigrants. They're having travel bans from Muslim majority countries. It's coming down to the governor that's saying, oh, these Muslim civil rights organizations are going to be now labeled as terrorist organization. In fact, foreign terrorist organization, even though they're from America. And then same thing happening with the elected officials statewide are saying, we're going to exclude Islamic schools, private schools from the private school voucher program. And then the legislature, obviously last session, passed legislation saying that we're going to ban Sharia law. Has nothing to do with Sharia law. In fact, it's trying to ban epic city development from happening again. And it's just that same rhetoric that is being used to be able to get more eyeballs into their website, into them voting, and it's just unfair, and it should not be tolerated because this is very dangerous because it's against our constitutional rights, and we have the religious freedom. I'm not concerned about the political differences that we have. We can debate them all day long, but when we talk about targeting people based on their faith, that's a line we should not cross.
There's also a big push, as you well know, to oppose the Islamic communities being built in Collin County, reportedly one being built in Kaufman County as well, too. What's going on there? I mean, it seems like that is more Republican red meat, but these are private developments that are being built.
Yes, absolutely. And when we talk about limited government, the government shouldn't come and interfere amongst the private developers.
But is anyone talking about limited government anymore? It
doesn't seem like that. It's just all coming down and saying, oh, we need to stop this. How can we Islamify our Texas? I get that all the time as an elected official, that how are you, accepting this? Or, should we not do something about Sharia law or these Sharia compounds, right? There's no such thing as Sharia compound. The epic city development, all they're trying to do is come together, give a particular, acreage to the mosque, and then have the community live close by to the mosque when they have older parents that can walk to the mosque. They just want to be able to pray in peace, and that's the right that we all enjoy in the state of Texas in our country.
Republicans are essentially saying, let's don't Sharia Texas. What's your reaction to that?
I think they're, like I said, using red meat to bait their voters to vote for them. Sharia, like I said, it's misunderstood. It's a personal religious belief, and that's where they're going wrong with that thinking.
What's the reaction to all this in the community right now, in the Muslim community in Texas?
I mean, Muslim community is devastated. It's living under sort of a blanket of fear, a blanket of suspicion that, oh, if you're Muslim, then you must be doing something illegal, or these organizations that are fighting for your civil rights are also terrorist organizations. So what I get a call almost every day from a Muslim family, whether it's about, hey, our schools are not being able to come into the ESA program that y'all passed. And in fact, one of the state representatives told this to me by saying, hey, you're a Muslim, you should want your Muslim schools to be participating in the ESAs. And I said, yes, but I want to fully fund our public schools. And so again, but that was used as that debate for me, and now they're being excluded. I get calls from Muslim community members that they're being targeted just for wearing a hijab. There was a woman in Euless who was by the pool, and she had 2 kids in the swimming pool. There was a white woman that came in and basically tried to drown her 2 kids, 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, in the city of Euless.
Touched them? And
absolutely. And
were
then
charges filed in that case?
Absolutely. It was a hate crime, and it was prosecuted to the fullest extent. And this woman even took out the hijab as the mother was trying to save the kids. And so, events like this happen all the time, like in a mosque outside Murphy or in a coffee shop outside Murphy. There were people that were just, praying outside, and they were just, targeted because of them praying. And so it happens a lot, and I feel like we need to stop, especially elected officials that are sort of preying on this should be held to a higher standard. I believe that there's more Texans who love the diversity that we have, right? There's a loud minority that says otherwise, but I believe that bringing people together is what elected officials should be doing, not dividing them.
To make sure I'm clear on this, are Muslims in Texas worried about this, afraid of this? Do they pay it any attention at all this rhetoric by Republicans?
They're extremely concerned, and it's coming from one party. It's not, you don't see any Democrats saying that. So I feel like it is very concerning, and that's why they're coming out in large numbers and supporting Democrats who are empathetic and sympathetic to the Muslim cause, and saying that, look, it's not just about Muslims. It's about protecting a religious freedom for all Texans, and that's what the elected officials should be focused on.
CARE, which is the Council on American Islamic Relations, says the state's new voucher program excludes more than a dozen Muslim schools, and this prevents those Muslim families from using school voucher money, their own tax dollars,
exactly,
like everyone else, from being able to send their children to those Muslim schools. What's your reaction to this? Do you think this is going to get settled, or are these schools and these families going to be banned from this program?
I think it's unconstitutional, and First Amendment rights that every person, every Texan has, and every American has. So I feel that this will be struck down, and that they will have to take Muslim schools into the ESA programs, because that's public money, and how can you exclude one religion? That's where the danger of religious freedom being eroded in our state and country are, that you cannot be selective about it. Oh, it's okay for Christians, but not okay for Muslims. And we need to fight vehemently, not just me as a Muslim legislator. I think every elected official in this country and state should fight against this.
Is there legal action right now, to your knowledge, on this?
Not to my knowledge right now, but there could be some. I fully expect legal action on this.
To be filed on behalf of these Muslim schools?
Absolutely. And someone should. And we all should be raising our voices for this.
Considering all this, have you reached out to Governor Abbott, Senator Cornyn, General Paxton, about any of the rhetoric they're using here, trying to build a bridge or mend any fences?
I'm concerned if it'll fall on deaf ears, but we are producing a letter to be able to let people know and let elected officials know that what they're doing is not fair and it's not constitutional, and they're violating every Muslim's right in this country.
Who's producing this letter, and who's it going to go to?
So most likely it'll be a group of legislators from the Texas legislature that will go to Senator Hancock, Governor Abbott, Attorney General Ken Paxton, and the like.
You've also been active in the case involving that 33-year-old Palestinian woman who was detained by ICE for nearly a year now?
10 months, yes, more than 10 months.
10 months now in Alvarado. She was recently in the hospital. Do you know what the latest is on her case?
She was just recently released from the hospital, but what was concerning is that the lack of transparency we had with ICE, it was just extremely shocking. That why would the government not inform her attorneys, her family, where her whereabouts are? And I had to actually write a letter and email to ICE officials and giving them a deadline, and then that's when they let us know and let the family know where her whereabouts are.
How is she right now, do you know?
She's weak. It's really, she's not getting proper nutrition. Like, she should be getting halal food. And so they gave her a box of meal, and she says, no, this is not halal food. Instead, what they do is they go with a Sharpie and write halal on top of it and serve it back to her. She wants to cover her entire body as a Muslim, and she's not been given clothes that cover her entire body. That's just basic dignity that every person should have. She's sleeping on her thin mattress with cockroaches roaming around in a cell that could fit 20 inmates. There are about 60 to 90 inmates there. So you can imagine the conditions. She's really weak. When we did a press conference, she actually had a flu and she wasn't even able to talk properly. Just really unfortunate circumstances. And two courts have said that you can release her on bail, on bond, and she's not been given that right.
Well, what's the latest on her case then? Do you know what's going to happen next?
I think we're going to keep pushing ICE to give us some answers and release her, because she's not a threat. Like courts have said, she's not a threat to any public safety. What public service, what public purpose does that serve to keep her detained like this?
Is she still at the Alvarado facility? Is that where she is now?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. A few weeks ago, I think you had a planned visit with her, and that was canceled.
That's correct.
Have you met with her since then?
I have tried to meet with her a couple of times, and her health condition has been bad. In fact, that Friday that we talked about her health condition got worse, I was supposed to meet with her virtually at 10:30 a.m. and that visit got postponed and canceled because she fell and sort of hit herself and was hospitalized.
Let me zoom back out for the last question here. As a Muslim man, I'm sure you've seen all types of protests against your religion and people who don't understand it here. Where does this fall in what you've seen over a lifetime, and especially since 9/11 25 years ago?
I think it's the same story, that some people need a scapegoat so that way they can prevail and say the problem is because of these people and I'm going to solve that, right? And so that has not changed, but the intensity has ratcheted up significantly. I mean, from my election in Euless City Council to my election in the State House, I mean, that is proof that there are amazing Texans out there who believe in that diversity and they've elected me. But there is a loud minority that still exists, and that is what the elected officials are leaning more towards and giving that red meat to their elected official or elected voters. And so that's where that's a danger that everybody needs to sort of voice their opinion on, because if we let this happen right now, it'll just be so many different communities will be targeted in this. Today is Muslim community, tomorrow could be other communities that will be looped into it. A hate against one community is hate against all of us. Yeah. So we can't stand idle and just watch this happen. Even if I was not a Muslim state representative, I would voice my opinion against this, because this is completely unfair and unjust.
A few years ago, all Republicans were campaigning on is the border. And now it's this anti-Sharia law, anti-Islamic messaging here. Did that take you by surprise at all?
It didn't, because I feel like, unfortunately, our federal administration is doing the exact same thing. The rhetoric, the harmful rhetoric that they're putting out there against Muslims and against immigrants and against the other, right? That is really harmful, and that just trickles down to our state and our sort of neighbors, right? Because the neighbors are being pitted against each other, and I feel like this is an easy target. A Muslim community is an easy target. We have 2% or 3% of Muslims in the state of Texas, right? It's an easy target. Transgender community, easy target. Immigrant community, easy target, because you can easily profile them by saying, oh, you're wearing a hijab, oh, you look like this, so it's easier to sort of make us as scapegoat, and I think we all need to fight against that vehemently.
Representative, good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.